triggered woman that you just looked at is a selfish bitch and men should not marry her. That's my personal opinion.
Hi. Candice Owens was on the Whatever podcast a little while ago, okay, and they were discussing some TikTok videos that a young woman had made, right? Okay. Now, I want you to brace yourself for a minute, okay, because what this young woman has to say is so horrendous, right? It's gonna really infuriate you, okay? It's probably the most disgusting, disturbing thing that you've ever heard in your life, okay? So just brace yourself for this, okay?
Saturday. I'm 29 and single, and I don't have kids yet. Here's what your Saturday morning looks like when you're single at 29 and you don't have a kid running around the house. I didn't rise from my bed until 10:15. Every time I thought, I should probably get up and do something. I thought, why? Nobody's making me. I'm not missing out on anything. I went to Beyonce last night, and I didn't get home until 1 a.m. And I danced and drank my little heart out, and I didn't pay a babysitter to watch my kids as I did that. And I woke up a tad hungover this morning, just probably why I was in bed for so long. And I was just scrolling on my phone, and I saw a picture of shakshuka, and I thought, you know what sounds really good? Maybe I'm going to learn how to make shakshuka today. Because I have no plans, and I don't have kids, and I don't have a husband, and I don't have errands to run. I can go to the grocery store and learn how to make shakshuka. That's on my agenda today. Also on my agenda, probably a rewatch of some Real Housewives of New York. I'm also doing a rewatch of Normal People on Hulu, which is really spicy, and I highly recommend. Weirdly, I'm into this documentary on Netflix about blue zone countries, so I've got a pretty stacked day. Anyway, I say all this to say, whenever I'm hard on myself about why I'm not married and I don't have kids and I should be further along at 29, almost 30, I wouldn't want to do anything else this Saturday. And I know that you can do all these things when you have kids and you're married, and I understand, but the effortlessness and ease of my life, just kind of focusing on myself and the shakshuka I want to make or the Beyonce concert I want to go to, really pays off when I'm hard on myself for not being where society tells me I should be in life.
So, why do you guys think that this video went kind of crazy viral, and what's the analysis here?
I mean, it went crazy viral because Matt Walsh tweeted it. Let's be real. That would have just gone into the ethosphere on TikTok, and no one would have talked about it had he not picked that up and tweeted it.
Well, I'm kind of glad she said that, actually, because, like, the real reason that something like that goes viral is because there's so many people on the right who want to shame women for not living the lifestyle that they think that women should have lived or should be living. Okay, but they're sort of going to try to make it sound like, oh, it went viral because this woman has just said something really atrocious and really horrible. And it's like, no, it's actually just because a lot of the right-wing people have a massive problem with, like, how women live their life. Not with how men live their life, but will sit there and condemn women all the time.
Well, I don't know if Matt Walsh was the first
he
person.
Was.
Oh, was
yeah.
he really? Okay, yeah. I didn't know that.
But I guess what's interesting to me is that this woman has actually even said, she gives herself a hard time. She wants to be married. She wants to have children. So I don't think that it's right to demonize her and act like she's going to have a depressing life when she just hasn't found the right person, because clearly she wants those things and she's trying to make herself feel better and other people in that community feel better about not being that far along. Because like you said, you wanted people to settle down with the right person, take their time, figure out if that's the right person. So just because she's 29, you're saying that it's too late for her and she's going to be doing Xanax and drinking wine at night because she hasn't reached that point
yet? I didn't say that. That's not what my tweet said.
Now, that is the kind of attitude that, right-wingers, manosphere and all that have. It's to call women old when they're not really. And, no, then sort of, they'll go the other way with men. With men, they'll say, oh, yeah, you can just sleep around until you're around 40, and then there should be a virgin 20-year-old waiting for you, okay? So you get that massive, double standard in a lot of these communities. Or even these, say Christian conservatives, okay, they won't be telling men to sleep around, but they won't be condemning men the same way as they'll criticize a woman for not being married by the time she's 30. But men, they can be sleeping around until they're middle-aged or never get married, and they won't condemn men the same way as that they would the women.
You said the future.
Yeah,
right.
Because she's obviously a narcissist, right?
Really? She's obviously a narcissist, is she? You can tell just by that, can you? I don't know the woman. I haven't done any, research into her or anything. But if you're just going by that video clip, how the hell can you tell that she's a narcissist? Okay. Because they do this a lot, not just Candice Owens, but I've always noticed this. I have always thought this is incredibly hypocritical from Red Pill and the manosphere and these conservatives and all of that. It's they are so quick to apparently point out that a woman's a narcissist. A woman's just got to say something and they're like, oh, she's obviously a narcissist when it's a woman. But they never ever say that about a guy, okay? Or at least they won't They won't point it out in a man, like, or they won't discredit a man by saying something like that. Like, she sat there with 3 hours of, like, Andrew Tate just comparing himself to superheroes and talking about what a wonderful person he was, and she just sits there, like, smiling and agreeing with whatever he says. Like, men can be, like, delusional, overvalue themselves, like, have an inflated ego, like when they've done absolutely nothing good in the world, only done bad things in the world, and they're, like, considered a brilliant role model for young men.
And I think if you're going to become one of the most famous people on the internet, you're going to be at war. You'd be a fool to become massively influential and then cry about the fact that you end up in constant battles. It doesn't matter if you're Napoleon or Charlemagne or Genghis Khan. If you look at even a lot of superheroes, you look at Batman, he's a flawed person. And I think the reason I'm seen as a hero and the reason I have the fan base I have is because to a degree I've always been a flawed person and I'm not a perfect human and I don't want to be. And I think that actually adds a lot of credibility to my character as a whole, that I've become the kind of person who believes he can add value to the world. And just like you said with Jay-Z, he changed. Absolutely, power and responsibility go hand in hand. And I do believe that I now have a huge platform, and with young boys, they're exceptionally interested in my case. I do believe to a degree I'm an anti-hero. I do believe to a degree that the harder I'm attacked, the more credibility is given to me in the eyes of my fans. I think that they see, everyone's out to get this guy. Everyone's out to get Batman. This kind of feels that way. 304. Nobody, you're a dork, so no one gives a right? You're a nerd. I've got the big cars, pretty women, and I live the lifestyle. If you want to really capture the youth of today, you need to get some kind of affinity with them. They need to at least want to be you to a degree. You need to at least be their hero to a degree. This is where liberalism wins. I don't think it's asinine. I've actually had conversations with therapists, I think twice in my life. I did a TV show in England, and I had to speak to a therapist, and then I think it was another TV show, 2 TV shows, I had to speak to these therapists. She goes, oh yeah, but there's general rules we can follow. I said, then let's end the conversation. I'm not a general person. I'm not a general person, I'm exceptional. So can we just stop wasting everybody's time here? Because all your general rules don't apply to me. I'm smarter than you. What have you achieved? Goodbye. I'm a world champion. See ya. Like, it's garbage. And I mean, I don't state this with arrogance. I don't want people to understand. I'm not trying to be arrogant. I'm trying to make people understand the situation I'm in. I was the most Googled man on the planet at one point. So I had a massive impact on the culture, and it was dragging in the complete opposite direction that the culture wants to move in. I'm dragging men in the complete opposite direction that the Satanists and the people who want to turn us all into slaves want us to go in. And I do think that one of the reasons why they dislike me so much is because, yeah, I certainly live a teenage boy's dream. But if you want to inspire the next generation, how else are you going to do it, right? You have to have the fancy car and the big yacht and all these things. And by inspiring these men to stand up and think for themselves and resist the slave mind, it's doing genuine damage to their slave agenda. Genuine damage to their slave agenda. And I think that's why I especially ended up targeted. I truly believe that's what's happening.
I think there is an element of it that you've captivated young men, and that is a very...
It is amazing the different standards they hold men and women up to, isn't it? They in the manosphere, in the Christian conservatives, right, as well. Because like I said in another video I did about Candice Owens, is like, she would not say that a woman is a good role model to other women unless she is the perfect wife and mother and living the traditional lifestyle. Okay, it doesn't matter, you know, whether the woman is successful in other areas of her life. It doesn't matter whether she's really smart. It doesn't matter whether she's, like, got lots of knowledge and good advice to pass on to young women and girls. None of that matters. If she's not a perfect wife and mother, she is not considered a good role model for young women. Yet men, they can be total and utter degenerates. They can sleep around. In the case of Andrew Tate, like, he's a dangerous criminal and abuser and just a terrible person, and he's praised up as the perfect role model for young men. Yet all a woman has to do is say, well, I don't want to have children. And she's like, oh my God, what a terrible person. Men, stay away from her. Don't marry a woman like this. Yet, in her interview with Andrew Tate, she's telling him that he should get married. Okay, this is the totally different standards they hold men and women to, you know, like, I mean, this woman doesn't want to have kids. Andrew Tate, he's had children. He doesn't bother to look after them. He just dumps them on the women. So the women will be branded by the manosphere and the Christian conservatives as bad people for being single mothers. But men, as usual, absolutely no agency whatsoever. And if any woman ever dares be, like, proud of their self over anything, they always go on about how, like, fed up they are of narcissistic women. The red pill community, manosphere, have been complaining, like, since they first started, about how sick they are of narcissistic women. And I have always thought that's hypocritical, because, I mean, Candice says to men, like, oh, don't marry this woman, but you'd recommend somebody like Andrew Tate, or even, like, women who don't want to have children. Some men don't want to have children, but still want to find a partner. So people who don't want to find a people who don't want to have children can marry somebody else who doesn't want to have children. It is quite simple. It's not complicated.
So, like,
Why
the
would you
issue,
think
first
that?
and foremost, let's not pretend this is one video that she made. It's her brand on TikTok. It's her brand on social media. She talks about these are this community known as dinks. We're happy and we're childless. She talks about how great it is to be childless. So she has developed she's a social media influencer that talks about childlessness. So let's not pretend this is one woman making a video who just said, oh, I had a great Saturday. There's absolutely no reason, if you had a great Saturday at 29 years old and you learned to make shashuka and you slept in at 11 until 11:15 or 10:15, whatever she said, that you need to bring up children. There's absolutely no reason. You just say, here's what I did today. I laid in all day. I did this. I did that. The fact that she has to correlate it to saying, and this somehow makes me better than people that have children, is the problem.
She does say that.
She literally goes on to talk about not having children. It wasn't necessary in this video. So it's not like people are just shaming single women on the internet. You could go on right now and talk about what you've done all day, and there's no reason to bring up, but having a child or not. She's actually doing the shaming, and now we're trying to pretend that she's the victim. She's not. She has a brand where she talks about childlessness, and she talks about leaning into selfishness and all the things that are amazing about not having children. Again, this is not the first video that she's produced. So the reason why, and if you're a man watching this, don't marry this woman. She's basically telling you she's selfish. She's telling you she's a narcissist. Everything she says is about me, 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 me. Even if you're single, you don't have to make your whole day revolve around you. You don't have to. You can get up in the morning. You can go help others. You can do other things. You can say, now that I have free time as a single woman, I can go dedicate time to the church. I can sing. I can do this. I can help people find God. That particular woman that you just looked at is a selfish bitch, and men should not marry her. That's my personal opinion.
Okay, first of all, you don't actually know if she's done good in the world or not, because not everybody tells people, okay? Like, some people give to charity and they don't tell anybody. Some people do stuff to help people and they don't tell anybody, because it can sound like bragging, okay? Because they actually say that, don't they? Like, to be a good person, like, you should do stuff to help people, but don't tell other people, because if you're telling other people all the time, it comes across like you're doing it purposely to get attention, purposely to make people think you're a good person. But okay, like, as for her going on about like how good her life is, like without children, right? Now, first of all, I don't take that as that she is shaming women that do have children, okay? Not from that video clip. Did it sound like she is in any way shaming people for for having children, for wanting to be a mother, okay? I would, if I was to hazard a guess, I think it is in response to the fact that women get shamed for not having children, because they get made to feel like that they're not good enough if they don't have children. And I think that is probably why she's sort of hitting out, and why some women like her hit out and say like, no, look, I'm perfectly happy. Okay. Now, it's kind of in retaliation to that. Okay. I didn't hear any shaming of shaming people that have children. She's just saying that her life is good, and I don't know why that gets such an angry reaction. In fact, since that Matt Walsh made that tweet about this woman's video, she has received a lot of hate and a lot of death threats just because of putting her opinion. And she's now wrote,
I think that there's a fear of speaking out about loneliness, and I think that Matt Welsh's rhetoric and his followers' rhetoric only amplified that. Mazur says, if I've pronounced that right. She says that while she does indeed want marriage and kids someday, I just don't want to sit and wallow while I don't have those things. That was really the impetus for why I started my podcast and the content that I create on TikTok, because it's called Pretty Much Done. I want people to be pretty much done listening to societal pressure and noise and be open to creating lives that they want to live for themselves.
She said she doesn't have children yet, which gives the impression that she does want to have children at some point. And despite what the manosphere claims, 29 is not old, okay? In fact, I believe Candice was like, I think she was like around the same age as that when she first got married as well, okay? But also, it's like, I mean, it may be because some people, and this is like both men and women, sometimes can get a little bit sort of down sometimes about if they're single, about being single, okay? And it could be a little bit of cope there, sort of like saying, oh, well, my life is so easy, my life is so good, you know, I've got all this free time to myself. That might be a little bit of convincing herself, maybe. I don't know. But also, it is a case that the grass is always greener on the other side, okay? Like, somebody single might feel a little bit down, maybe, about not being in a relationship. But then when somebody's in a relationship, then they kind of miss the fact that they don't have as much free time, okay?
I'm talking about things like leaving the house, for example. This is how people without children leave the house. Shall we leave the house? Yes. This is how I leave the house almost every day. Lucas, I'll Oscar! Come downstairs! We're late! Why aren't you downstairs? Put your shoes on. I don't know where my shoes are! Driving? You go driving. You drive in cars, don't you? Driving along? Yay! What's the biggest drama you have to put up with? Oh, it's a bit chilly. Oh, put the blower on. Oh, that's nice now. Oh, look, they've opened a new Carluccio. We should go there. We could go there any night. We could go there any night. Oh, what's this song? I love this one. Freedom! Freedom! I strap my children into the car. I work out what'll cut off the blood supply, then I ease it a bit. Stay there! We try and behave normally. Oh, what's this song? It's the wheels on the bus go ding, 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 ding. Again! Oh, look, there's a new Carluccio's there. We will never go there.
Now, if somebody doesn't have children, like, well, yeah, their life is easier and more relaxed, and they have more time to do everything that they want to do. But I would, like, assume and hope that the joy of having children and raising children is like, it's worth the sacrifice, okay, for, you know, most parents, okay? So it's kind of a bit of the grass is always greener on the other side. Now, if somebody is single, I don't see any harm in looking on the bright side of that, okay? Like, you know, I'm not saying that they shouldn't be motivated to go out and find somebody if that's what they want. Like, yeah, they should still be motivated, but I don't see any harm in just sort of being like, well, yeah, but this is the bright side, okay? But also, like, if a woman really doesn't want to have children, okay, if a woman's like, no, I really don't, you know, some people, like, right-wing people, like, really shame women for that and really sort of say that they're wrong and say that they don't really believe they're happy and sort of act as if, like, women are sort of these idiots who can't, like, decide for themselves what to do with their own life, when I kind of think, like, people shouldn't be so nosy and interfering in other people's business, and that's either side. Like, if somebody wants to be, you know, if a woman's greatest ambition is to be a wonderful wife, wonderful mother, and she doesn't have any, like, career interest or anything like that, I don't think that she should be shamed for that. I think that being a perfect wife and mother is a perfectly good goal, that a woman shouldn't be shamed for that. Or if a woman's a stay-at-home mum, there are some people who will say, like, oh, what do you do all day, and make out like that's not good enough, and I don't think that women should be shamed for that either. I think if a husband and wife have mutually come to the decision that, like, they find it better if the woman's at home looking after the kids rather than paying for babysitters, that's their business. But I also think if a woman really, really, really does not want to have children, that's fine too, if she's sure about that, okay? Because I get that it is hard for some people to understand, like, oh, why wouldn't somebody want to have kids, particularly a woman? But, like, not everybody is the same. And I don't think it's a decision women should make lightly, because obviously women don't stay fertile forever. So, say, like, a woman in her 20s, she might not want children, but might change her mind later. So, like, I mean, there are women, you know, who... Women have to be a bit more aware than men of their biological clock, okay? That is true. But if a woman's, like, 100% certain she doesn't want kids, she never wants to have children, I don't think she should be shamed for that. Because if you did, like, if everybody was just made to have children, whether they like it or not, that would lead to there being more parents that actually resent their children, okay? And some would be, like, bad, you know, parents because of that. Okay, some people might not actually be mentally stable to look after children. Like, you know, some people can have mental health issues, and that could be a reason why some people might not make good parents. Okay, or, you know, some people might have some hereditary, like, medical condition or something that they don't want to pass down, and that might be a reason why they don't want to have children. But something else that, like, some of the people that shame women for not having kids, what they don't seem to, like, bear in mind is sometimes if somebody can't have kids, if somebody's got something actually wrong with them that stops them from being able to conceive or being able to carry children, okay, some people, they don't like to talk about it. They don't like to tell other people their personal business, okay? So they might, if somebody asks them, like, oh, have you got children, or do you want children, they might say stuff like, oh, no, I don't really like kids, or I like my life the way it is. I have all my free time. I can do whatever I want. I don't have the stress of looking after children. Some people might say that when really they really did want to have children, okay? So if you shame women for choosing to not have children, well, saying that they chose to not have children, you might be making people feel bad who actually really can't have children, okay? So I kind of think that people should sort of like mind their own business in that sense. And in the case of this woman, okay, she's the one who decides to like broadcast it, I suppose, on social media. Okay, but I kind of think that women probably wouldn't do that so much if it wasn't for the fact that people like the right wing, red pill, manosphere and all that all want to shame women for their lifestyle choices and make out like women are naughty little children or whatever for not doing what they want them to do. When like really like they can do what they want with their life, and the men don't get shamed when they say, I don't want to get married, I don't want to have kids, or I'm going to sleep around until I'm middle-aged, or I'm going to cheat on my wife. You don't see the same they don't condemn men. These like whatever podcasts, Fresh and Fit and all that, who pick on women all day, like complete degenerate men, they get a pat on the back, okay? So, and it's not like these men in the manosphere actually kind of tempt women into marrying them in the first place, you know? It's kind of funny that these are the guys that sit and make fun of single women and say like, oh, you'll be alone with cats, and make it sound like that's the worst fate ever for a woman. Like, when I think, like, do they think they make a more appealing option? I mean, Candice Owens was trying to talk Andrew Tate into getting married. It's like, really? You'd recommend him to a friend, would you? It's like, women, you don't want to end up with a load of cats, but an abusive pimp who's into hitting women with bouts, strangling women, conning, manipulating people, and I just get fed up with these people and their, like, double standards and picking on women over everything that they do, but then always letting men have a free pass, like, no matter how gross they are.
Come in really quick.
Yes, I wanted to answer your question real quick as to, you said why it went viral. I
Sure.
think it went viral because it's like, nowadays, it's like, it's relatable in our day and age. You know what I mean? Like 22, 23 years old. I don't know how old this girl is, but like 29 or whatever, but in my day and age, like, it's relatable to be like, haha, we don't got kids, like, quote
You're
unquote,
22.
fuck them kids. You know what I mean? It's like,
I'm glad you're admitting that.
It's like that.
I'm glad
like,
you're admitting that.
It's like a term that people use, you know what I mean? And it's like, it's just relatable.
honest.
Like, that's why it gets so many views, is what, to answer your question.
I think that's really honest of you to say that.
You wanted to come in, go
Fuck
ahead.
them kids.
Yeah.
No, I said
I'm
quote
just gonna-
unquote.
I was
That's what
gonna-
they say. You know
Yeah,
what I
but
mean?
you're admitting that so that she's starting the fight. You're looking
And
at
it's a
people that are
trend,
moms.
that are
Like,
trending.
I don't when
It's a
I
trend.
when I'm with my kids.
Right.
I don't post videos and say F them single chicks with no kids.
Right.
She did the baiting, okay, and we responded. That's it.
I don't know.
Like, it's a
The
new
first
trend
thing I was
type
gonna
thing.
say.
Hold on, let's just let Essie go ahead.
The first thing I noticed about the video was that she was putting people with kids down. It'd be fine if she was talking about how her day was and wording it differently, but it seemed like almost immediately from the beginning of the video that she was belittling people with kids, which I think is like the part of the problem.
Pixie, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I think this is like up to interpretation, because personally when I saw that video, my interpretation was like, oh, she's putting herself down because she's saying like, oh, you know, when I tell myself why am I not further along in life, you know, it's okay because at least I'm enjoying these things. So I could definitely see, like, depending on how you're looking at it or if you have further context, why you would think she's putting kids down. But when I saw that video by itself, I was thinking like people are kind of going a little bit overboard in the sense that she says she's being harsh on herself. She doesn't have children, and these are just the things that have made her happy today. And I don't think that by itself, without additional context, is inherently wrong.
Anybody else? Tara, did
Yeah.
I say it right this time?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know the background of what other types of content and messaging she puts out, but just from that video alone, I don't think to me, I never got the impression she was shaming people that women that were married to kids. It felt like she felt bad that she wasn't already there and she was just trying to be optimistic about it. And so I think it sounded more like her content was about making women who are childless and not married yet and are approaching the end of their reproductive years to like look on the bright side. But I really, and all my friends know I'm like so eager and ready for like marriage and kids, but I really honestly just didn't get that impression from that video alone that she was in any way.
So when she was
shaming
talking
him.
about, I got to go to a Beyonce concert and I didn't have to pay for a babysitter. You don't think that was
that's
belittling?
it's so
yeah,
she
that
was
was
obviously
selfish of her to say that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
she's
but-
being selfish,
and she's
she was
saying
being
that.
rude. And if it was flipped and a conservative woman with children said the opposite of that
Right.
to single women,
It would blow up.
It would blow up, and they would
Right.
say, "How rude of you! Why are you even mentioning single women? Just say you had a good day with your kids. That's
Yeah,
fine." If I
and
say
I
I
feel
woke
like
up, went to the
nowadays
park with
it's
my
like-
kids.
Okay, I have heard Candice Owens specifically say before that she is happy now that she has a husband and kids, and that she wasn't before when she used to be a libertarian. She said she wasn't happy, but she is happy now. Like, okay, fair enough. She said she is happy now that she has children and she is living the family life. I have heard her say that, and I don't take that to say that she is putting down single women. I take that as just as that she is saying that she is happier now that she has a family. Okay, just the same way. It's like a single woman saying, "Oh well, I got to go to a concert and I didn't have to pay a babysitter." It's like, again, I see that as like putting down women with children. Okay, I'm actually beginning to wonder now if like there's actually a slight element of jealousy or something. Like again, like what I said, grass is always greener on the other side. It's like, you know, I'm sure Candice is telling the truth when she says she's happy that she has kids. Okay, and she's living a good life. I'm sure that's true. But it is true that, like, if you are single, at least you don't have to pay for a babysitter and you can do what you want, okay? I don't think that is putting down women with children. I think they're reading, like, too much into this. But I will point out that a lot of these conservatives, manosphere, red pillars, they do put down single women because they call them crazy cat women. And they say, like, oh, if you don't find a man, you'll be drinking wine every night. You know, they do. Or if a woman says she's happy when she's single, they outright dismiss it and say, oh, she must be lying. And so they actually do put down single women. Okay, and it's like, I mean, there'll be some people that will put women down with children, and some people that will put women down who don't have children, and some people will put you down for being in a relationship, some people will put you down for not being in a relationship, because some people are just nosy buggers that, like, have to interfere with other people's lives. Now, I kind of think, like, if somebody's single, they shouldn't be mocked and ridiculed for that, whether they're single by choice or whether they're single and unhappy about it. And that's men and women, okay? And the same with having children. If a woman says, I don't have children and I'm happy about it, now she might be telling the truth, and she might be saying it and it might be cope. She might not be happy. But either way, it's not people's place to stick their nose into other people's business and start telling them what to do. I mean, you can give advice if somebody wants advice, but, like, I kind of think women like this wouldn't be making videos like highlighting the fact that they're happy without children if it wasn't for the people that constantly shame them for not having children or shame them for being single when they don't do that to men. Okay, so I kind of think like why sort of highlighting videos like this are probably making the problem worse. Like if they just sort of like didn't pay any attention to videos like that, there probably wouldn't be more women then wanting to say, well, actually, I'm happy single, or I am happy without children. It's like, you know, it then gets into a back and forth, like, argument. And I just think, like let people do what they want to do with their life.